Yesterday it was worse because I had a woman for 1 hour with no English. 1 hour no English. That is almost
Wow.
impossible. So it's like I told you, like 120 questions. Yes, no. That's so hard. And this morning I had a kid
What?
China who kid from China who doesn't want she doesn't want to do lessons. And I don't
Yeah,
know what
you
to
thought
do.
about her.
Yeah. So that's because I have her before you. So last week as well, I have her before your class. She just doesn't want to do lessons. So she's like, let's play. And she goes, I don't like this game. It's boring. And I get another game. This game's boring too. I was like, what can I do?
Wow. Yeah, with the camera turned down. Yeah.
Yeah, camera
Wow.
turned on.
That's hard.
Actually,
That's
this
hard.
kid this kid actually sometimes put the camera down on the table as well to make it even worse. So sometimes I can't even see her face.
Wow, that's
Ah.
hard. That's hard. How do you do in those cases where, like, you have a very difficult student to teach, like perhaps a child and
Well,
the parents
she's
want the child to learn English, but the child is not interested in the class, you know?
Well, actually, I get indicated for those students. So some people give me the hyperactive kids and they'll tell me that I
Okay.
was indicated to teach the hyperactive kids. But to me, that's very easy. I have no problem talking to kids. I can joke with them. I can play with them. I talk about
Yeah.
monsters, all those things. I'll ask ChatGPT to give me some interesting subjects. But I have other interesting things that's like, how about fire? How about earthquakes? And I can have fun with kids with those things.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, I just don't know if the kid's rating me badly after the class. So I told you before I got rid of a kid
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he told me he didn't like
I
me. This
remember.
kid just booked me again. I canceled his classes around a month ago, and now I see he booked me for tomorrow. This kid, I was like, I don't want to give class, but I think no one wants to give him classes. You understand? Because he'll tell him he doesn't like the teacher. But I don't mind talking to him and playing with him. I could do that. But if he's rating me bad, I don't want to give him classes because that will ruin my rating.
Yeah, and I
That will.
think those kids they get used to having classes with you, you know, because when I was starting in Cambly, I was having classes with a lot of different tutors. So each class was with a different teacher, and it
Yeah.
was a little bit difficult because every time I had to present myself,
Yes, it's
what
boring.
what I do for a living, my hobbies and stuff. So it was a little bit rough
Repetitive.
to.
Well, it's repetitive and boring, and people don't want to
Yeah,
do it. And I know my students complain about that. And I even say to some of my students, look, I'm going to ask you the boring question first because I never know if you've been on Cambly for a week, a month, or a year. So, like, I got a woman today, it was her first class. And yesterday I had a woman who was her first class on Cambly, but I didn't
yeah.
know it was their first class. I never know. So I usually ask people about their job, and I know people find that boring. So and as well, a lot of Cambly teachers just use the reading. They don't have to teach, so they'll just go, let's read an article, let's read an article. And people
Yeah.
don't like that either. They tell me they don't like reading articles.
Yeah, well, it would be nice to Cambly to have, for the teachers to see if it's the first class of the student or perhaps it's a more experienced student, you know. I think it would help to prepare the class.
Sure, actually, I think they do have when someone joined Cambly, like it comes up the date the student joined. But a lot of times I don't notice that, and some people book me just today, and I don't know. I never know, but I can look in their profile.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I guess it depends on the student. But changing subject, I have a new book, and I think that you already know this guy
Let me
here.
see. Wim Hof, yes, yes. I've read his book too. I read one of his
It's
books.
a
Yes,
very good one, a
I,
very
I,
good one.
that's the Wim Hof method. But I don't know if that's the book on his life. I guess it could be. I read the book on his life.
It's the book written by himself because I saw that there are lots of books about people relating their experiences with the Wim Hof method,
Yeah,
but it's not the book that Wim Hof wrote it. You know,
yeah.
one is it's the one written by himself, and it's very very good.
Yeah, and it's about his life. So obviously he has some disorder. He's bipolar or something. I can't remember. He has something wrong with him. He's quite eccentric.
Really?
Yes, he's eccentric in real life. So he is a bit
Yeah, I know
read
that.
about if you read his book, you'll find out like he'll do something like cycling by bike. He lives in a hippie commune. He said he would walk around naked in the cold with lots of people in the house. So he's obviously a little bit something a little bit crazy with him. His life is a bit tragic, though. I don't know if you know about
Yeah,
his life.
I already know his history, but
You
I
know
was
about his
hoping
wife, then.
it's more detailed.
Yeah, it's more detailed. So he always tells about his wife.
His wife, yeah,
So his wife committed
with
suicide. So that was,
sister.
and he had to raise his kids by himself. But I don't know if his wife had the same thing with depression and maybe bipolar as well. I'm not quite sure. But you can tell he's kind of speaks in a strange way, in an exaggerated way. But yeah, when I learned about his method, I did it. And I'll give you, oh, I got a really good YouTube channel for it as well. And there's different types of breathing, not just the Wim Hof. I'm not
Yeah.
doing the Wim Hof so much, so I'm going to type in two of them that are really good for you. You probably know that. I don't know if you know these already. So one is the HRV method, okay, and that one's probably considered overall better nowadays. So you can find YouTube channels on this. They'll like have a circle and it will be breathing in and out. So it's like 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out.
Yeah.
It's easier to do it actually if you do it with alternating your nostrils. So if you go in with one nostril,
Yeah, I heard about that.
out with the
Well,
other. That works the same way because that's exactly 5 seconds and it's easier to do. The other one is box breathing. So box breathing is used
box
by the
breathing, yeah, I tried it. It's very good when you're trying to sleep, the
yeah,
box breathing.
and it's good if you're
You
imbalanced.
breathe for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds,
Yeah.
expire for 4 seconds, and then you hold it again for 4 seconds.
So yeah,
It's
so the
very good.
Marines use this. The Marines use it in America because they said
Yeah.
they're either too anxious or they're too energized and they need to balance themselves to think. So they use the box breathing. So these two overall are better. And I use these every day. I write them down. If I do my HRV breathing, I've got it written here. But I like that one. I'll do it for like 10 minutes.
How does it work, this HRV method?
That HRV is heart rate variability. So they're saying that's how we should naturally breathe during the day. But we're not doing that. We're taking shorter breaths. We're not breathing deep enough. So it's just HRV is the long breath. It's 5 second breathing. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. It's easier to do with alternative nostrils because that's around 5 seconds to breathe in, breathe out through the opposite one. That would be 5 seconds. But I use the YouTube video. Sometimes I'll just do it by myself between classes. Then the Wim Hof method is very different. That's more energizing yourself and warming up your body. It's quite different.
That's true. It's very good when you have to calm down or to energize yourself. So
Yeah, but this is more energizing yourself, I
yeah,
think,
it's
or
more
warming up your
energizing.
body. It's
Sometimes
very
when I go
different. So
for a
I think
run,
on a regular basis,
I always try to do the method before.
yeah, so that's probably good for that one. But in general, we should be in the HRV one. So everyday HRV is better. I have a YouTube channel, and I'm trying to find the name of my YouTube channel because they do two other types of breathing that are a little bit different and very difficult. And one's really crazy. I got so many YouTube channels saved. I can't find it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one. It's called. I don't know if it's Breath of Fire. Breathing breath. I'm just going to type it in because I don't know if I can find the channel. Then I can find there's two that are really good to do. One's very, very fast. It's not the Breath of Fire, though. I don't think it is.
No. Fire.
And the other one, but I'm trying to find the channel. I think the channel is called Take a Deep Breath. Okay, so I'm going to give you the name of the channel. And then on this channel, you should find two that are quite different from the rest of them. Okay, so I'm going to type in the name of the YouTube channel. Take a Deep Breath. Okay, that's the channel's name. And there's two. They have lots of different breathing exercises on this channel, but there's two that are really, really amazing. And why I say that is one's very, very fast breathing. It's faster than Wim Hof. It's like, or like this, and that's even more energizing. And there's another one that will make you feel like you're out of your body. So it says it has the same feeling of being on a drug, which is really, really bizarre. So that one's harder to do and it takes longer time and you won't be able to do it. You'll feel strange. I've done it before and I feel really strange and I don't know what to think about it, but I do it again every once in a while because of how it makes me feel. Oh, I can't find the name of that one. It's like, it's got a really unusual name. But it's on this. But this channel has so many videos, I can't even find which one it is.
Yeah, I see.
I'll leave it anyway. But I'm reading a new book too, and the book I'm reading is about autism. So I was listening to something.
autism.
I'll type in the
Okay.
chat. So I'm going to type it. It's called the telepathy tapes. Okay, this is a podcast. So initially,
Hmm.
I think the woman's name is Kai Dickens, and I saw her do an interview on Joe Rogan. Then I saw her do an interview somewhere else, and she was
Okay.
studying that a lot of kids with autism are actually really gifted, like the kids who don't speak. So before, when you saw someone who's just looking into space like this, you think they might be mildly retarded, and they use something called I can't remember. Let's see. It's communication felicitation or something like that, where you use the hand of the kid and you get them to type out an alphabet or numbers. And they found that a lot of these kids are really highly gifted. They're super
Yeah.
intelligent, even when they're nonverbal. And what she discovered is that they believe these kids, which sounds really bizarre, are telepathic. They can read your mind. I know that sounds really bizarre, but there seems to be a lot of evidence about this now. So I was so fascinated with the subject. I got a book. I downloaded a book. So I got 2 books on it. One's on
Okay.
my phone. The one I'm reading now is called Joshua's Fire,
Joshua's Fire.
and this is about a woman in America, and her kid's autistic, but she said he was fine. But then she thought he was dumb, and now she realized he's not dumb, and he can communicate really well. And she thinks it's really strange, like how come our kid's so intelligent, and how he knows things he's never read, which is really bizarre. And I got another one on my phone, and it's called ESP Enigma, and that's just more about ESP in general. But the woman who wrote the book, her name is Diane
Yes.
Powell, and she actually she was the one who discovered years ago, because she was a neuroscientist, that these kids are really, really gifted. But a lot of times you weren't allowed to talk about it. So in the 80s and 90s, if you said your kid who seemed retarded was gifted and they could speak languages, some of them were speaking could know foreign languages when they never studied them. It's so bizarre. So I'm like, I swear, yesterday I started the book, Nicholas, and I read half the book already.
Well,
But
it's very strange because every child that had autism that I met, they were very intelligent children. You know, like really above the average in different aspects, like painting, even perhaps communication. The verbal kids that had autism. um I
yeah,
met a kid once that he was, uh, how can I say, he was very good communicating and express himself. So it was almost like a very high charisma. He could
function. Well,
just
they might
by
not.
talking attract people towards him.
Well, some
You
people with
know.
autism, though, when they're high functioning, they have mild autism, but they still mightn't get social cues. They can be intelligent, but they're weird. So, Elon Musk has autism. That's why he's weird. I didn't know, I couldn't figure out why I thought he was weird, but he's weird because he has autism and he doesn't speak correctly. Same with Steve Jobs. He's a high functioning autistic person. So that's why he was really rigid with everything. But they said his communication skills were really bad. Like his personal skills with people weren't good in the office, Steve Jobs. My nephew also has autism. Well, they believe he does because he didn't speak till the age of 5. He would just sit there quietly. So we were wondering
Oh.
what was wrong. And his sister would speak for him all the time. But when he went to school, the
Mhm.
teacher said, "Oh, he's gifted. He's so good at mathematics." And it's like, okay, he's not speaking and he's really good at mathematics. But
Yeah.
nowadays, normal. Nowadays, he speaks, he likes music, he's playing the guitar, but he has slight autism. I also think my dad is autistic because my dad is kind of in his head. My dad is a
Mhm.
super nerd. He will listen to bird sounds and he'll remember the bird sounds. He does things like this.
Wow.
He does crossword puzzles.
Wow.
He would win puzzles. Like he would go to pub quizzes and he would get all the answers because it's in his head. But my dad wouldn't speak so much. I have to speak to my dad to get an answer sometimes. I mean,
Mhm.
he's still normal. He seems normal, but he's a nerd. He's a super nerd. My dad is.
Yeah, I think everyone has a little trait of autism inside
Yeah,
each
yeah.
one, because I see there are some people who has those kinds of traits, like perhaps they are very much introverted, or
Yes,
they
they're more likely to be. Yes.
yeah, or they have though the what is called hyper focus on something.
Yeah, hyperfocus, that's another issue. That's actually a type of ADD as well, though, like the ADHD, super focusing on something. My niece as well. My niece would super
Yeah,
focus, but she doesn't have any other problem. But for her study, she would just study like this, really, really intensive.
yeah, yeah. So, for example, I think I have a little bit of ADHD.
Okay,
It is correct because
ADHD, yeah, that's a hyperactive one.
ADHD. Because, for example, I started to noticing that when I was not like drinking caffeine, coffee, or uh, perhaps anything with enough caffeine, I my focus was much worse. You know,
Well, of
so
course, that can happen, but I want to say that can happen to anyone. And more days, people are more
sure,
distracted. I don't think you do, Nicholas. The only reason why I don't think you do is because you read books. And if you really did have ADHD, your level of reading ability would be really low. So people who are hyperactive can't read books because they can't focus. They're too movement. And if you're inattentive, you'll daydream and you won't be able to read the first 2 pages. So I think your
yeah, that's
concentration
true.
level is probably better than others.
Well, sometimes I feel like that when I get to read a book that it's more boring than usual. I start to daydream.
Well, that's normal too. If you're not interested in something.
But I then I go like, okay, this book is not getting my attention
Attention.
enough. I start to I move to another thing,
Sure.
just to get myself into the flow, so
Exactly.
that the book can do another things. But I guess that everyone has some days that you just cannot focus really.
Yeah, that's normal. So it's the same thing with me. Again, I did have inattentive ADD, so I couldn't focus on what I liked.
Yeah.
But if I have 2 books and I had 2 books on my phone and I started one, I can't remember the other one, and I stopped because I couldn't. The book was too boring for me. I started, and then I found about this book about autism, and when I read the other one was like A Gentleman in Moscow. It was okay. It was starting off okay, but this one fascinated me more. And I was reading the book on Moscow really slowly. But when I read the one on autism, I just went through half the
Oh
book.
my,
I
yeah,
had
that's true. That
because I was
happens
fascinated
to
by it.
me as well. For example, the Wim Hof
Yeah.
book.
Right.
Yesterday, I started reading the book. I went like to read 100 pages in one go.
Exactly. Yeah, because you love the
So
book. True
I spent
story.
hours reading.
I
So
could too, and it depends. So when it's something is a true story, I'm more fascinated by the than
yeah.
fiction, and I kind of feel like I'm getting some real knowledge or valuable information. I find it more intriguing, and that makes me want to read more.
Yeah, and
Um,
when it's someone else experience, I think it's much easier to get this connection with the book and get in this flow state and go reading many pages, than when you're reading something that is more theoretical. How's that?
Theoretical, theory or fiction. Fiction, you mean? Or you can say fiction if you
Yeah,
want that way.
not
Or
just fiction.
theoretical.
Or for example, I bought another book about this one here. Don't know if you have.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know her. Yeah, she's. I read one of her books. Yeah.
So
She's weird.
yeah, so for example, those kinds of books are harder to read.
Of course. Yeah, because they're
You have
deeper.
to focus more your attention. So it's a little bit more. It's a little more boring than reading a book that it's about someone else's experience.
Exactly. There's more flow. It's easier to identify with them.
Not that it's not good enough, but it's a different kind of reading.
Yeah, it's a different way of reading. I agree. I prefer to read nonfiction and interesting things.
Nonfiction.
Like so again,
Okay.
I would read Wim Hof as well. I read other books called Breathe. This one's Breathe as well. It's how to breathe, and by breathing through our nose and our mouth, it's different. So kids who have crooked teeth breathe through their mouth. And kids who can't sleep properly breathe through their mouth, and they have respiratory problems, and their jaw lines are not sharp.
Yeah, it's related to the mewing method. Yeah,
Yeah, mewing as well. Yes. So
because
So yeah, I prefer them. I find it more interesting. But I do like reading fiction too. But I don't like reading fiction with lots of characters. I remember reading Hobbit and all those, and I enjoyed them. I can't read them now because I don't want to store weird names of planets in my head. I can't do
Yeah,
that. I
right.
get bored. But I do like fantasy, or I do like not fantasy, but detective novels, like a murder mystery novel, because I get bored if I'm always reading nonfiction. So I'll get like a small murder mystery novel, like there was a one from
Yeah,
Australia, a one from a detective from Norway, and I would read those in between because we're so quick to read and fun. Because I have
yeah,
to, you have to change your brain over to something different, right?
yeah. For example, I was watching the movie Dune.
Yeah, I like that one too. The
I
first
was
one. I haven't watched
this
it.
time ago. So watching the movie and reading the book, it's totally different because,
I read the book too.
for
Yeah.
example, it's very similar to the Lord of the Rings. You know, the lore about the fiction and everything else. So when you're reading the book, it's much harder to remember all those names, you know, and the different, very difficult names that the author created. But when you watch the movie, it's much easier, you know,
Yeah, it's far easier watching the movie. I read Lord of the Rings
much
too.
more entertainment.
Yeah, I prefer it that way. But I know people love books. My sister would read all the books, Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones and Wheel of Time, and it's full of characters. I remember my sister was reading a book one day. There was like 20 books in the series, and my sister
Yeah,
she had a big page next to her, and I was like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm writing down all the names to see who the people are and how they're related to each other." It's like that's insane. I do not want to do that and read a book.
no, that's craziness. I even saw some people making it's not a roadmap. It's almost like
Mind map, they're called.
yeah, it's like a mind map about the people and the about the Bible, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So every big
That's hard to keep track of too.
how can I say it's about
Family
the
tree,
events,
maybe.
about the people, what happened. It's like a huge mind map because it's
Wow.
very complex.
Yeah, it is complex. Yeah, I always forget
When you
who's who in
start
the Bible.
reading the Bible, in the beginning, it's like very easy. It's not difficult to remember the names, but when you start going further about the Noah history and all those names from his
Yeah,
descendants, it
the
starts
Old Testament.
to yeah. So it starts to how can I say? It's
Yeah, it
much
gets
harder, you know,
confusing. It's confusing. Yeah, it's
remember
confusing,
so
and you have
many
to know where
names.
they went. So it's like who was it? Abraham had Jacob and Isaac, and that's how you split between Judaism and Islam, because one Ismail is the descendants of
Yeah,
Islam. Jacob is a descendant. And then you have to figure out where they went. And it's the same with Noah. Noah had his sons. Seth went one place. I can't remember the others, went to different place. You don't remember. I forget them all.
yeah, it's
Actually,
true.
I was raised Catholic, so we actually generally just focus on the New Testament, not the Old Testament. So when we're younger, they
Mhm.
go through the Bible of the New Testament. And if you want to read the Old Testament, you get the stories yourself or you see them on TV, but you forget the Old Testament. But I read the Old Testament. I actually did the YouTube the Old Testament, which I actually enjoyed. I went through the whole YouTube, and I liked the guy's voice was really cool.
Yeah.
But I forget the stories. I remembered the stories better as a kid because you get the little kid comic book stories, and they were more interesting that way, right?
Yeah, and you also have so many movies about Catholic histories that I think it makes much easier to people who don't read too much the Bible to know the stories. You know, the
True.
main stories. You know about Jesus or some of the how can I
Disciples,
say
disciples, our apostles, maybe.
yes, yes,
Yeah, we have those. Yeah, so we would have had, yeah, I can't remember. The Ten Commandments. I like that movie too. It's a really old movie, but it's really good. I like
right,
that one. Um, but when I was a kid, I was like, this movie's so boring. It's never going to end. It was like, yeah, when you're a kid, you don't enjoy them. I
yeah,
like it as an adult. This animation, The Prince of Egypt. I like that one too. That was really good.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was about, yeah, because it explains the story of Moses and Ramesses, and of course, there was always ones about David and Goliath and all those stories. But I enjoyed them all. They're all fun.
Yeah, I was raised as a Catholic as well, you know. So, but
Oh, right. I wasn't too sure because if you're German, you're more than likely not be a
yeah,
Catholic, right?
but I haven't read the Bible
Okay.
so much in my life. I started to reading little pieces of the Bible by myself, you know. I went to the church as a child. I I did those. I don't know the name, the certain name in English.
Catechism, maybe we call it, for kids. They do the catechism. It's called.
Catechism.
Yeah,
That's correct.
but
I
we
did
actually do it in our schools because Ireland's a Catholic country. We were actually taught catechism
catechism.
at school. But
Okay.
actually, my family was more religious. My mom is a Kaipirat, so she was from the middle of nowhere, and she was
Yeah.
raised super religious. So when I was younger, I had to pray. My friends didn't have to pray, so I used to pray the Rosary, Rosario, or Terzo, I think you call it. So I used to know all the prayers off by heart.
Yeah.
But we don't really study. It's funny because we say in Ireland, they used to say the Catholics say their prayers and the Protestants study the Bible. So we didn't really study the Bible so much, but we would know some of the stories. But the
Hmm.
Protestant religions would study it in depth and they analyze it, you know.
Yeah.
Which is probably good too. But I think it's nice to know the stories of the Bible because you
Sure.
always hear them on TV, and so many things are related to the Bible. It doesn't matter psychology, philosophy; they can go back to the Bible. So that's why a lot of people nowadays, I realize, they don't know, like they don't understand because they never read it or they haven't seen the stories.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. Also, I see that a lot of people like know the Bible very very well, you know, because there many people who read it his entire life, and
Sure.
I think it's something. How can I say? It's um, like I don't know the word, the correct word, but.
Fala português. Talvez seja assim.
No, it's those kind of people who are just who are from the church and don't do anything besides church in
Oh
their
yeah, they
lives.
only do the Bible. Yes, I guess there's more in Brazil. There's more of those religions. I think
Yeah,
they're a
it's
little bit
more
more
common.
fundamental. I think, but they really focus on it, and they can choose their own interpretation. This is the problem with the Bible. We don't know if it's a literal interpretation or they're metaphorically
Yeah,
speaking. And a lot of cases they're not. Like Jonah and the whale is not actually Jonah and the whale. He didn't actually get swallowed by a whale. They said it's a metaphoric of something else. You know what I mean? But some people take it literally, and that's kind of the problem too.
yeah, and I know that in the Bible, most of the stories are metaphors. You know,
Yeah, most of them would be.
like I heard some guy saying that every time like Jesus said something to the apostles,
The apostles, yeah.
okay, the apostles were in metaphors, you know. It was very, how can I say, uh, everything was a metaphor. So you in order not just to know the answer, but to think about the
Mhm.
situation and absorb to yourself, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's why people are not, that's why there's so many different Christian religions nowadays. I mean,
Yeah.
I do agree. I think the older religions are correct. I think Catholicism and the Orthodox churches are very similar. I think they're the correct religions. But there was corruption in the church. It doesn't mean because when Martin Luther, it changed the church, and he was right to attack the church at the time because of corruption. But that doesn't mean the church itself,
Hmm.
the institution isn't corrupt. It's people are corrupt. Do you understand? So that's
Yeah.
what happened. And then after that, people kept on changing and creating new religions. So then you have a Baptist or Jehovah's Witness, or and you know, then Mormons, and you're like, which one's correct? But I just think they just keep on changing interpretations all the time. So I prefer more of the original ones.
Yeah, well, it's very difficult to say because the Bible is one of the oldest books in humanity. So
Yeah,
I know
open.
that a lot of people contributed to the Bible during more than 2,000 years, I guess.
Well,
I
yeah.
don't know
So the
if
history goes
that or,
back. So the Bible was actually written after Jesus, or the New Testament. A lot of them are
yeah,
written. So we don't
yeah,
know because they didn't even live in that time. It'd be like us writing about 50 or 100 years ago, which would be hard. Um, They do have a lot of things about Jesus, though. So we don't know. We do know he's a real person. We do know he was a good person. So we have
Yeah.
something about Jesus. The problem with the Old Testament, we can't verify a lot of things in the Old Testament. But when the
Mhm.
Bible was translated, it was translated from Hebrew into Greek. Okay, and it was translated probably in Egypt. So they believed it was translated in Alexandria in Egypt. And they didn't get one person. They got people who are fluent in both of these languages to translate it. So there was like something like 20 monks working on the Bible, and then they had to come together to get the right translation of the Bible. And
Yeah.
then when it went to Greek, then it went everywhere around Europe. And that's why we don't even use Jesus's right name. So Jesus's real name in Hebrew is Joshua, which is funny because Joshua is kind of a common name. I didn't know that. And
Yeah.
Jesus' name in Aramaic is Yeshua. So his name is very different. His real name is this. So we say his wrong name all the time. It's like this, Yeshua. That's his real name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so we should be calling Jesus Yeshua. And in the Irish language, it's really strange too, because we say Isa, which is
It's,
similar to what the Arabs say. The Arabs call Jesus Isa. In Ireland, we say Isa too, and I don't know why.
yeah, I've heard about it. Well, it's somewhat difficult because I know that when you try to translate a book from its original language to another, it's very difficult to maintain the same meaning for all stuff, you know.
Yes, that's
So
correct.
I imagine all the translations that the Bible had, you know, from Hebrew, that I think it was the original language, nah?
I think it was, and this was Aramaic because Jesus spoke Aramaic.
Yes.
Jesus
So perhaps it lost so many meaning
interpretations, yeah.
in
People say
interpretations
yes. People
in
say the same thing with
this way.
Portuguese to English. You know, Portuguese uses more words than English, so you say something different. You know how you say hello in Irish?
No.
So hello in Irish is this in the Irish language. But if you directly translate this word, it means God be with you. That's how you say hello. So if you see someone on the street, you say God be with you. That's hello in Irish, right? And if
Yeah.
you want to say the reply, you have to say Dies Murigit, which means God and Mary be with you. So that's how you say hello in Ireland, in the Irish language. And if you want to
Well,
say
it's very
hello,
different.
if you want to say you're welcome, you don't say like benvindo. We say 100,000 welcomes. Cade mille forte. That's how you say welcome.
Wow. Well, it's very different, and every language has its how can I say its language family. You know, like the Latin languages, the Anglo-Saxon, like
Germanic. That would be
Germanic
Germanic. Yeah.
languages.
Yeah.
Okay,
And Irish is a Celtic language. And it's very
yeah.
different style.
So that's why
Portuguese
it's
is more similar to English
yeah.
than Irish.
Yeah, I was studying some time a little bit of German, you know, just to practice like a hobby, and I started to notice that some patterns were very similar to the original English, you know.
Yeah. And
And it's very strange because it's a totally different language. When you start to go further in German, you see that it's very, very difficult.
yeah, there's something with D, das. I don't know how it works. I did German a little bit at school, but I don't remember.
Yeah,
I,
it's the inflection of the nouns, you know, because every kind of noun has its different inflections. So if it's das, der, if it's die, so yeah, it's
more
very difficult.
complicated. I also know English has an influence from French, so that's another issue too. So
Yeah.
we can say this. I can't remember how to do that. I can't remember. I saw some video on it, and it was kind of saying we say the same things in different ways in English, and one comes from the Germanic, and the other comes from the Romance or the
Hmm.
French, because
Yeah.
the French invaded England, right? And it was the Battle of Normandy, and the French invaded, and then they won the Battle of Normandy, and they became the hierarchy in England. So the working class were Saxons, and the upper class of England were French.
Yeah.
And that's why you see certain French words in the English language, like when we're talking about royalty, like bouquet, banquet. Banquet is a French word. A banquet is like a big meal in English, but that's a French word. Bouquet of flowers. So when you get a lot of flowers, it's a bouquet. It's a
Okay.
French word. And the word pork, we don't say pig, we say pork, which comes from the
Or
French. becomes like the Romance language.
Yeah, yeah, it's different. So, how it was to you to learning Portuguese when you
Oh,
came here to Brazil?
very, very difficult
Yeah,
because I was terrible at languages. So I realized when I was younger, I went to an all Irish speaking school. So when I was between the age of 13 and 18, I studied just in Irish. I had to write in Irish, speak in Irish, and I was terrible at Irish. I hated the subject. I hated French and
yeah,
I hated German. I hated all languages. I don't know why. I'm really bad at languages, and like I'm good at history and geography, but languages I was terrible. I struggled
okay.
at all of them. So learning Portuguese was really, really difficult because I had a feeling I was going to be bad at it. But it takes time. I realized I like Duolingo the most. So why I like that is because I'm not learning grammar. I'm learning sentence structure, and then
Yeah,
I can learn every new words in sentences, and that's what helped me the most.
yeah. I did Duolingo sometime. I did a lot of Japanese actually.
Wow,
I learned all the hiragana and the
my lord, I don't know what that
katakana
is.
alphabet. So I did not start to learn the kanjis that
Yeah,
it's
kanji. Yeah, that's what they say.
the, those drawings with each one has a different meaning because it's very difficult. But I have a friend who does Duolingo until today. That he has like I don't know many hours of doing Japanese, but yet he cannot speak Japanese in a very basic way. You know,
Yeah, that's
it's
what's
very
terrible.
difficult. But I guess that if he could apply this time that he spent on studying Japanese on other language, it would be much more advanced, you know, than in Japanese.
Yeah, it depends on the person. I think that's what's sad. I just think it depends on who's learning. Like I had a woman today, she was doing Duolingo for 2 years, and she
Wow,
couldn't
that's a lot of time.
English, and she doesn't speak English. She doesn't. I had her today, and she had to do it with her husband. She spoke nothing. I was like, okay, two years, and she still can't speak. But it took me a long time as well. I think I did it, and I couldn't speak. I could understand. I couldn't speak though. I found it really hard. I don't know when I transitioned over. When I worked with my father-in-law, he spoke.
Okay.
He speaks slowly. He's more like Kaipira, and they use the same words. So I could understand him better than my wife because my wife's vocabulary is very rich and she speaks quickly. So I think that
Yeah.
helped a lot. But I don't know. I just think it's the way our brains are made, right? Some people are good at music. People are good at sport. People have a better imagination. People can paint. All those
Yeah,
things.
sure. And about languages, I think there's a certain level where when you
Plateau.
comprehend most of what this person is talking to you, you're already like fluent in the language. Even that you cannot speak as clear as you were speaking your native language, but you can comprehend very well. I think there's certain fluency in that, you know, because when I see someone saying that you have perhaps, for example, you have to be fluent for in this language for this job. They expect something like almost a native
Yeah.
person talking,
Yeah.
and I know that someone who is native will notice that you're not native, but you can speak the language very well. You
Mhm.
know,
Or you can understand very well. Yeah, at least. Yeah.
so when I was learning English, I started to learn very early. But
Oh, when did you start learning? I was wondering. Yeah. Did you learn in school?
yes, I had a lot of English classes in school, but I was not practicing. It was like very basic stuff like grammar and verb to be, those kind of things. And then I was practicing nothing, and I had to stop for a while because um, I was in a school of languages, you know, outside school, and
Okay.
I had stopped
Extra
that
classes.
because of some financial problems. And then after I was already like 17, 18 years old, I started to try to learn by myself, you know. So grab some books in English to read to improve my vocabulary, or starting to learn to watch movies, you know, TV shows.
Yeah, that helps. And
even with the
music.
subtitles.
Yeah,
And
my
then,
wife learned through music.
yeah, and it helped me very much when it comes to comprehend to understand what someone's saying in English, you know. But I just got to practice more with Cambly, you know, just
Yeah,
now.
it helps. It helps. Yeah, I think people need after a while people need someone to talk to. It
Sure.
challenges your brain. Yeah, I think so too. Um, yeah, I can do that on the street. That's what I usually do. Talk to someone in the supermarket.
Yeah.
I was going to say just before we continue on, I found the two YouTube videos on that channel, and I sent them to you, so you can look at them after. One is called DMT breathing, so that's what happens when people take ayahuasca. They say, but
Okay.
it's really hard because that's doing the long deep breaths for like 10 minutes. I can't even finish this one. So you're
Wow.
like, it's not like 2 minutes or 3 minutes with Wim Hof. It's 10 minutes, and then you'll feel your fingers going dead. You'll feel them numb and
Wow.
numb another person, and then your brain feels a
That's
bit
strange.
weird. Yeah, so it's very weird, that one. The other one, because I sent you two videos. The other one's I don't know what it's called. It's not called the bet. It's called power breathing, I think. Or
Or breathing.
yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
called power breathing and holds. That one's very fast. So, but I was nearly breathing through my mouth, which you're not. I don't know if you're supposed to do it, but it feels more intense sometimes when you're breathing through your mouth. Like,
I think it's because you can bring more air to your lungs, you know.
yeah, yeah, that's what it probably feels like. So it feels really weird and different. But I know that's not very good to do that overall because we are supposed to breathe through our nose. It's a filter, right? Because we'll get the
Mm.
dirt and pollution will go directly in our mouth. So, but I did that one as well, and it's very, it's good too. It makes me feel different. It's like a weird feeling too when I do that one. That one's more energizing. I feel energized after I do that very
Yeah.
fast one compared to just
I only did the Wim Hof method, and it works really well for me. You know, though always when I do the method, I feel those tinglings. You know,
oh, you
like
do feel that. I don't feel that anymore, Wim Hof.
very very strong the tinglings,
Okay.
and also when you're lightheaded, you know,
Yeah.
I feel that as well. But when doing the breathing, but when you have the retention breath that
Hold.
you
Yeah.
inspire at last and then you expire and try to hold as long as you can. I think my personal best time for holding my breath was like 2 minutes, 2 minutes and a half almost. It's not that much because I know there are some people that can hold like for 5 minutes. For me, this is craziness.
Yeah.
And
I didn't have to
then
do that either. I can't do that.
and after I finish the breathing, I feel like very energized. You know,
Yeah. Maybe the blood and air is circulated better around your body. You're oxygenating yourself,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's what it. How can I say? I don't know. Don't remember the word. It's the proposal of the method. You know, to feel more energized and
Yeah.
to
Yeah. And
make
heat up your
the
body too.
to change the biochemistry of the
Biochemistry.
blood. You
Yeah. Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
to
That's what
be
he does.
more alkaline.
Alkaline, yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah, and it can boost your immune system. So I like all the methods. So again, but normally I just use HRV during the day because he said that's how we're supposed to normally breathe, and
Yeah.
we don't breathe that way normally. So we should do that. Wim Hof is good for energize and change your biochemistry. The fast one
Mhm.
gives you energy. The other one feels very weird. That other one, the DMT one I put up there for you, that's very strange. I've done that a few times, but I don't know. That makes me feel like I'm in another world, I think. I also read the one Fountainhead. I don't know if you know that book. That's by Ayn Rand as well. She has one called
Yeah,
Atlas Shrugged, but I haven't read the Atlas Shrugged one as her most famous one. But apparently that's
yeah,
very
it is. I
long,
need to
and I
buy
don't want
this
to
book.
read that one because
Very
it's so
expensive.
long.
Yeah, I think it's like almost 1,000 pages, you know.
Yeah, I don't know if I get bored then. Fountainhead was kind of weird too. It's like I can't remember. Ayn Rand thinks, I can't remember how she thinks. She thinks that everything should be functional. Is that it? Instead of beautiful? I can't remember.
I don't really know. I didn't start to read her book yet, but I know it's in the, how can I say, in the libertarian way of thinking, you know.
Well, yeah, but she was that way because she grew up in Russia. Okay,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
everything in Russia had to be,
Um,
everything had to be organized and clean
the,
and whatever, and she hated it.
the words,
Yeah, so
I think
she
it's
like, so hers is
collectivism.
objectivism. Yeah, as you emphasize the
Yeah,
importance
yeah,
of
that's right.
reason,
That's right.
individual self interest, and rational egoism. Okay, Yeah,
Yeah.
people pursue their own happiness. Yeah, I think that was the Fountainhead one. I remember reading that was such a weird book when I read it. Yeah, but it was okay. Yeah, I don't. I think that sometimes these people are too difficult to understand because they go into too much of a deep meaning, and I can only get the surface.
Yeah, it's like philosophy books. I don't know if you ever read some
Yeah,
book
they're too
like
difficult for
Nietzsche. So
me to.
it's
Yeah. Okay.
the language is very difficult, you know. So you really have to focus because it's hard to absorb the knowledge, you know.
I agree, but I think the sign to say if a good writer is writing in a simplistic way that everyone understands. And these books I find are too deep, and then I don't understand them. I would prefer someone to give me bullet points on what they're saying, and then I could see the
That's
difference
good.
in what they believe in. You know?
I think it's somewhat nice, you know, because I guess the message they're trying to express it can just be communicated through perhaps difficult words, you know. If they would try to make it much more simple, I think it would not be the same message, you know. I think
Probably not. That's true
something
too. Yeah, maybe people would not think they're
something
so
like
deep
that.
in it. Yeah, people wouldn't think they're so deep and insightful. Okay.
But like we said, the original language of the book, I think it about Nietzsche it was in German. I don't know.
Yeah, probably because he probably is German, isn't he? Or the accent. Freud
So
is
I
German.
guess in the translation, some of the meaning and the interpretations are lost some way, you know. So I don't know if the original book would be more simple or even more difficult.
I don't
Because
know. Maybe probably more difficult. Who knows?
yeah,
I don't know. The Germans, the way they think. No. Yeah, no offense. The way the German thinks.
that's okay.
Yeah. I was going to have on today, Ben. I was going to ask you, since you were talking about the Bible, sometimes that's an interesting topic. Because usually I don't. If I talk to people about Chinese about the Bible, they'd be like, I don't know what the Bible is. It's our Japanese people. So, what is the Bible for you?
In my concept, I think the Bible is almost like a personification of the Catholic religion. You know,
Or all
it's not,
Christian religions will say. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Christian religion. So it's not like just a book. It's almost like something very sacred. You know, so
Mhm.
even that there are some people that don't read it or even never read it, they trust the Bible like their lives would depend on it, you know. So I think it's almost like how can I say? Um, I don't remember. I don't know the word. It's like
A way of life, maybe? Maybe?
yeah, that as well. But an amuleto.
I don't know what that is. Amulet. Amulet.
Yeah, I think it's an amulet.
Yeah, an
So
amulet, but we wouldn't use that in that experience. Yeah, like a precious stone.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. The next question we know because it was who it was for. Yeah. In now even in Catholicism, people are bringing back the Latin Mass. It's kind of weird because up until the
yeah, I
1960s,
saw that.
people you used to have the Mass in Latin, and it's become popular that a lot of people want the Latin Mass. My uncle, my great uncle was a Catholic priest, so he used to give the last Mass in Latin too all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it important? Why is the Bible important then
It's
for people?
important. Well, I think it storages many important writings from an how can I say an older older times, you know, about all the writings, all the teachings that the Christian religion brings. It's everything's inside of it. So people use like a guide
Yeah,
through their lives, you know.
sure.
And I think that's why it's important because if you say about try to say about the Christian religion, you cannot uh, make a relation with the Bible. It's almost like the same thing, you know. It's like I said, it's almost like the personification of the religion. So I guess some like the religion does not exist with the Bible. In that case, would be the Christianity. You know.
Okay. Yeah, moving together. Sure. So what else can we learn from the Bible? Like literally learn. I know it's about our lives, but who's the Bible about, we'll say.
I think that the Bible would be about ourselves, you know, trying to live the best life as possible. Of course, following the Jesus or
Yeah,
God,
I mean, yes.
teachings, you know,
Mhm.
try to live our life to the best. Like, uh, how can I say this? I don't quite know in English, but would be like a love each other as you love yourself, something.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, treat your brother as you treat yourself. Love. Yeah, it's similar.
So I
Same.
think it has
Got
many
the same message.
important teachings, not just about the Christian religion, but for everyone. You know, any religion can extract something good from the Bible.
No, I agree too. Well, I always think though that the Old Testament is more scary because there's so much violence and God punishes people. So I was like, oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think
that's good.
that's why I think we focus more on the New Testament. The New Testament is kind of all good, and the Old Testament's a bit scary.
Yeah,
How is the Bible different from the holy books of other religions? So the Jews and Muslims use the similar book. So the Jews and the Muslims use the Old Testament, but then they got something about
yeah,
Muhammad as well. So theirs is similar to us. So uh, in in Judaism, they don't believe in Jesus. But there's a part in the book that talks about in Isaiah something, I don't know, Isaiah 43 or something, and there'll be a guy in Israel who'll be persecuted, no one will believe him, he'll be the son of man. And so it kind of is in their book, and they're like, who is this? And they're like, oh, it's Yeshua or Joshua. So they kind of
yeah.
realize it's probably Jesus. And in the Quran, in the Quran, I think they
The
say in Portuguese.
Islam,
Yeah,
I think it's Quran.
yeah, no, it's Quran in English, but I think it's Coroa in Portuguese. I don't know, isn't it? It's a different word
It's
in Portuguese.
Alcorão.
Oh, Quran. Okay. Well, yeah, in the Quran anyway, they have Jesus as a prophet. So he's actually the third most famous prophet in Islam. So Muhammad's number one. I think Abraham is number two, and then it's Jesus is number three,
Yeah,
and they call him Isa. And Mary is the most important woman. So they still have them in Islam. Well, I don't know then in Buddhism. I don't know in Hinduism. I'm not quite sure. I do classes with Buddhists.
yeah,
They actually talk about the books, and I'm like, okay, I don't know, because they never seem to give clear answers in Buddhism. It's just like, there's no answer. So I was just like, it doesn't seem like there's someone holy or special. And Buddha
yeah,
died, and Buddha died of obesity. That's what they said. He got so fat.
yeah, yeah. So answering the question, I don't know a lot about the religion's history, but in my perception, okay, I see that, for example, the Bible, I think it's the oldest book of all religions. So it's almost like it brought some light in the world, and the other religions try to extract something of that and to create their own religions, you
That's what
know,
I
and
think
to
too.
follow
They
its
moved
own path.
its own path. Well, I suppose the Jews had the same because Christianity comes from Jews, right? Because we say Jesus Christ, right? And in actually
Mhm.
in Israel and Palestine, they call Christians Nazarenes because Jesus was from
Yeah,
Nazareth. That was his hometown. So nearly everyone who lives in the town of Nazareth or Nazaré, I think you call it Nazaré in Portuguese, are Christians. So that's where the word comes from.
yeah.
Uh, do you think the Bible is interesting, or do you think there's parts, or what part of the
Well, it
Bible?
really
Maybe I'll ask
depends,
you.
you know. The very beginning of the Genesis books, it's very interesting, you know, to read, but it has a very different perspective from the New Testament, like you said. So it's very, very different. I think it's even the ways of God. It's different from one book to another. Like
Sure.
the God from the New Testament, it's how can I say?
Nicer or forgiving God.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Old Testament, he seems worse. Yeah, he's scary.
But there are some teachings that you can see and extract something good to your life. You know,
Sure. Well,
so,
I just like the
I
stories
think it
themselves.
depends
I
on the
don't.
books.
I don't remember all the stories. You know, like the Jonah and the whale. When you're a kid, I
No,
would
I
get the
don't
kid
remember this
stories.
one.
The fighting stories with the battles were interesting. The scary stories like King Solomon, or the woman who stole someone else's baby, and the king says, "I'm going to cut the baby up," and you're like,
Yeah,
"What?" Don't cut the baby up. You're like, or throwing Joseph in the well. You know, all those stories. Some of them can be interesting, and some of them can be scary.
yeah. I think most of these stories are metaphors. Like we talk about. So most of the stories are trying to get some deeper meaning into what we are trying to understand, not the literal meaning, like cut the baby in half,
Yeah,
but
it was really
to
about who would really
yes,
love the kid
it's
wouldn't
more
kill him.
about teaching the mothers to about greed and some other aspects.
Sure. Have you read all the Bible? You said you
No,
didn't.
of
Yeah.
course
Did you?
not. No, I've read some topics. I know I've read Genesis book, and the second one it's Exodus.
I don't remember. Because
It's the second one after Genesis.
yeah, I know, but I've done both because I've done both the Bible, but I just don't
Oh
remember the
no, it's
titles. In
the
the Catholic Church, they only focus on doing. If after 3 years of going to church, you do the whole Bible. That's what they say in the New Testament in the Catholic Church, something like that. But the Old Testament you have to read yourself. Revelations is the scary part because that's about the end of the world. uh,
yeah,
uh,
and
all the
after some
Gospels are not there, by the way.
yeah
Yeah,
yeah
this
in Enoch.
the
No,
Book of Enoch. That everyone says this is the weirdest one, but that's not in the Bible. They've taken this one out. So the Book of Enoch is about things like flying things and aliens, and people are like, "What is going on with this
okay
one?"
then.
Yeah, that one's not in the Bible. So people like if
Uh,
you people who talk about conspiracies love the Book of Enoch. Yeah,
yeah. After some time reading, it begins to get really boring.
yeah, I
So
think it can get boring. I
you
agree. I
start
think
to
it's boring.
daydream when
Yeah,
reading. So it's difficult.
yeah, it's the way
It's
it's
something
written
that
too. It's
you
written in a
really
funny
have to
way.
be committed to read the book.
Yeah, but
What?
I think you can stop and start it. You can read a couple of pages and stop. Read a couple of pages and
Yeah,
stop.
sure.
Or if you
I
want a
don't know.
summary, you can get a summary of the Bible.
Yeah, I know there are some people that read like in a different way. They make a group of reading
Yeah, Bible
and
study, it's called.
Bible studies. That's right. And they read some passages of the Bible, but I don't think it's the best way. For myself, if I would literally read all the Bible, I will start from the beginning and just go
Yeah,
through
I
everything.
agree. But I think a
You
lot
have
of
to be
people who,
very committed to that.
but I think the people who do the Bible from the beginning to the end are people who've done it from kids, maybe in their church, so they know the Bible story, and then they
Yeah, it
go out and they pick the
makes
passages.
easier.
I've done that too. I did a Bible study once. It was with an Indian priest. Yeah, I remember doing that.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's kind of interesting. What is your favorite part of the Bible? So, is there any story you like
I
more than
haven't
others?
read a lot, but I think the Genesis book it's very good because it's the one that I know the most. So I think it's very powerful. It's very strong passage of the Bible because it shows the how can I say the greed of the human being and why our suffering it's our uh, how can I say our own I don't remember. We created basically our own suffering. So it's I think it's much more deeper than just the text. It's something that to absorb and reflect.
Reflect
What's
on. Yeah,
yeah
you can say reflect. I don't know. I can't. I don't think I have a favorite story. But again, I didn't like reading the stories in the Bible, but I like them as
yeah
separate story books. Like the kids' stories are. They explain it so much better. Abraham or Moses and those stories. They're always more fun as individual books. I think to
yeah
me. Do you think everything in the Bible is true? So this is the part with
Yeah,
interpretation.
it's very hard to tell because it's a very old book and it went through the hands of a lot of people. So
Yeah, we don't
about
know.
the translation, about the meaning, so
Yes.
someone could
Write a false story.
alter
Yeah, you're
the
right.
meaning of some passage, but I
I
think it's much hard. It's very hard to tell that everything is true. So I think it would not be.
Yeah, I agree. And they choose the books too. That's the problem. They'll choose the book of Luke, Mark, and Paul. They'll omit someone. So we don't know what they've omitted and what's true and what isn't.
Yeah,
I also think the New Testament is more truer than the Old Testament because there is
makes sense.
evidence of someone called Jesus existing and those things happening at that time. Our time's
Yeah.
up. I was going to ask
Thank
you
you
if you
so much.
did
Have a
do
nice
Limbeck. Okay,
one.
take care.